Welcome to Community Forum. My name is John Gogliatino and I'm your host. This evening we're changing gears and we're going to be talking about redesign work on a house or what have you during a recession. There's different ways of doing things, and there's something that fits every budget. And with me this evening is we have Barry Miller, who's the president of Simple Baths, and then we have Lynn Curzan, who's an architect in the area.
Designs.
Building and Designs. Okay, sorry. Welcome to the show. Before we get into the questions that we have here, could you tell us a little bit about yourselves, and starting with Barry, how you came into the area and how you worked into where you are right now?
Started the business 25 years ago as a part-time business for some extra money. I was a research scientist with Boehringer Ingelheim.
Wow.
And started it part-time and kind of took off and started doing painting and wallpapering, and now we do full remodeling work.
So you went from the lab to the field.
That's right.
Okay, very good. And Lynn, a little bit about yourself as to how you got into where you are now.
I started my business in '98, so a little over 10 years is when I went on my own. Before then, I worked for various people, different people within the trade, as far as architects, designers, kitchen suppliers, structural engineers. I started out my business doing design build, working with builders only, and now it's about 50% with homeowners and 50% with builders is how I get my work.
Well, that's a good mix. Okay, so how do we do these things in a recessionary period? I guess there's not everybody's out of work at the same time, and you do have people doing things all the time, and you have, I think we talked before the show about the fact that kitchens wear out, bathrooms wear out on a regular basis, so there's work that always needs to be done at one point or another. What is the typical process that when you meet a client for this type of work? I guess you're both going to answer that?
Well, I'd like to comment on the recession aspect of it first. The reality of the situation is, if people do feel secure with their jobs, it is actually the best time to remodel right now, because
pricing is most advantageous.
Pricing is a lot more competitive. Availability of contractors is better, and it creates a situation where cash is king, and if you're ready to do it,
this is the time to do it.
It's the buyer's market at the moment.
Right, so this is the time to do it. And what do you do when you normally meet somebody?
Well, typically, and I'll pass it over to Lynn.
We usually go in as a team. Usually a client doesn't know exactly what they're looking for, but they have a budget and some ideas that they want to talk about and see what they could do within the parameters of what their budget really will allow. So what we do is we evaluate what kind of design that they want. Barry will kind of control the numbers to make sure we don't go too crazy. And the procedure is that I'd come up with some design sketches, and then Barry will price it out. And if the plan works and the budget works, then we take it from there. Then I start picking out some of the finished selections as far as paint, tile, marble, and then I have a full set of complete plans where then Barry will fine-tune his numbers, and then they go into contract with Barry as far as the construction goes.
But it could go either way. Somebody could approach you first, or Barry.
Either way.
Let's say hey, we've had it with this kitchen. We got to redo the kitchen, or we got to do the bathroom. It's really starting to.
And when people approach us directly, a lot of people feel they can't afford, or the budget won't allow them to hire an additional designer to do the work, and a lot of times that designer brings value to the project by coming up with creative ways to reuse spaces that can actually save the client money on the overall project.
There's a lot of, working with some of their existing cabinetry, reworking, just taking apart some of their cabinetry, and as far as making if you have a peninsula, you can make that into an island with the same cabinets, but then you get all new granite countertops, and you really work with what's existing, something that they never even thought of, which would save some money.
Okay. So generally, if they have an idea, then they may start with you. It could go either way, and you put it to paper. And then
it's really best to almost talk to us both initially, because as a designer, I could certainly go crazy on some of my designs, where then Barry will make sure that I fit within their budget and really work out what could be done construction-wise, as far as...
So are you finding that somebody will come to you and say, hey, I've got $30,000, I got $40,000, and no more than that, and I need to work within these ramifications, and...
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. With the economy as it is, people are very tight with their budget, and it is almost that they're naming the price, and it's up to us to make it work. So
you work your designs around, this is what we figure the costs are going to be, and you can afford this.
Right.
And a lot of times clients don't feel comfortable telling what their budget is up front because they feel you'll abuse the budget or they won't get value for it. But not knowing what the budget is initially can short-circuit the whole process, because you don't know to aim low, or you could overshoot and then waste all that time. Have to start over again.
And then there's some people that are out there that they may say, well, I think I can do it for, let's say, 20, and then they're at 30 or whatever. So it's good to have it designed properly, and I think this concept is a little more on the mark as opposed to doing it that way. The emphasis on the dollars only, and then they overshoot and they overshoot.
It's definitely best to consult before you begin any project with a designer and with a contractor, rather than just go in and think that you could do everything yourself, because then there are definite guidelines that will make it work or break you. So.
Right, and there's a lot of homes that end up incomplete. They have a partially redone bathroom, or partially redone for 5 years until they actually got the money to fix it up. That's the result of doing it the other way.
Or if the wrong contractor is chosen,
right?
You get into the job and it doesn't finish.
It's better to have the limitations than have the incomplete nature of a project. All right. Does it, okay, how much does a client rely on you? Okay, we pretty much, I guess, covered that to finish to make the finished selections. Do we have some pictures that we wanted to show at some point? I guess we're still working up to that. On the current economy, our kitchen and baths, of course, I would think, but the smart choices, because that always improves the house. So, both, do you want to answer that?
Well, again, because of the economy, a lot of times people would just do a flamboyant type of design where they blow out the back to make the kitchen larger, or steal some space to make the bathroom bigger. So with the way the economy is now, is that people are really utilizing some of their existing space and really just making better sense of what they have. And you can't go wrong with remodeling a kitchen or bathroom. Those are the two major things that people look at.
Right. If they're terrible, it doesn't make any difference how big the living room is. If you inadequate bathrooms and kitchens are the pits, as far as buying a house or selling a house later on.
And it's important that they do it right. If you can't do it right, where they can't afford to do things properly, then honestly they shouldn't do it, because again, somebody coming in is not going to want to look at a Band-Aid. They're going to want to look at a nice product.
Right. Remodeling Magazine, in association with the National Association of Realtors, publishes a survey every year stating what the return on investment is, and typically kitchens and master baths have the highest return on investment.
That's what I was getting at.
For resale.
Yeah, I thought that those were the key rooms, I don't know if there's another room that follows, you know, maybe the bedroom, you know, how big the bedroom is. If it's a hole in the wall, you're not going to...
Another factor that makes kitchens and bathrooms more of a necessity item, at least in this area, than a luxury or discretionary income, I'm sorry, discretionary spending, is that the average housing stock is probably in the 30 to 40 year range.
Right.
And the useful life of a bathroom or kitchen is about 25 years.
Yeah, in other words, you got the old fixtures. It's time to...
It just wears out.
Right, yeah, it's time to replace all of that. And same with probably the bathrooms even sooner than that.
Yeah,
You know?
with the humidity and...
Yeah, all of that activity, flushing and all. Okay, so how would a homeowner go about deciding what contractor and designer? Yeah, I mean, how do you find you get many people out of the yellow pages, or do you get referrals? That's like an add-on question to that. Are your leads mainly referrals? You know, personally. I mean, you know.
I generally do everything by referrals. Everything is by word of mouth. I found through advertising, a lot of people would just be calling me, kicking the tires, and they're calling several other people. But I found that it's generally a solid lead when it's based on a referral. When I've done somebody else's bathroom or kitchen, and you know they had a great experience and a great finished product, that will tend to get me a job better than just to have a random ad in a magazine.
Right.
But Barry, I know, advertises a lot.
About 2/3 of our work is still repeat and referral. A year and a half ago, we opened up a retail showroom in Monroe,
right.
So we get a fair amount of walk-ins, and because there's a lot of people moving in and out of the area, we rely on advertising to still bring new leads in.
Yeah. I was going to say Monroe's a little more of a fluid market. You know, here we're a little more stable, I think, in Danbury area.
The things that people should look at is, you know, for a contractor, if he's a licensed contractor, you know, the insurance, the reputation. There are a lot of things to... Yeah,
people should look at, no matter who they're dealing with,
right.
You know, whether they're using the yellow pages or even getting a referral from somebody, they should make sure that they have workers' compensation, you know, properly insured, because you'd be surprised the number of people that try to operate without coverages. You know,
it's the majority.
You know, the little guys, you know, that come in. I could do it for half. All right, well, those are the famous last words when they come in and their employee falls off the roof or whatever the case may be. You know, you got to make sure that they're you know, checking with the Better Bureau. What would you recommend? Checking with Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce?
As a minimum requirement, you have to be registered with the State Department of Consumer Protection, and that affords you the possibility of receiving, say you do hire a contractor and they disappear on the job, there's a fund that you could get some reimbursement from if you're using a registered contractor. Number of years in business, do they have a physical location that you could actually find the person if you're looking for them? You know, are their employees legal is an important aspect.
Right. So, but also if they belong to the chamber, or if they're members of the Better Business Bureau, or
the more connections they have in the business world, the number of years in business, all helps.
Yeah. So beware of the guy that just did the house next door and wants to come over and take a look at your place. So yeah, you see that whatever it is, you know, or I heard your bathroom is in bad shape, or
basically with contracting, it's the buyer beware. If it sounds too good to be true, then in all likelihood it is.
Right. Because there's so many of these stories you see on TV around the state. You know, somebody comes in and they said they can do it for half price or whatever, and then they take 25% down for the job, do some work, and then leave, and then you don't see them again or whatever. And there's a number of them like that. You know, so to avoid that, it's best to.
And I think in this economy, you see more of that because people are desperate to get cash in their hand.
Yeah, and people want to do more with less, so they think, well, let's take a chance, and that's what scarce dollars. You're taking a chance. Is it similar in your, in architectural work?
Yes, yes, it definitely is. As far as designs go, like I said, you could just, if by choosing the designer, it's really a matter of how much they listen or how much they don't listen, because a lot of designers out there don't necessarily know how construction works either. So where they may think, oh yes, you could just move the toilet over here, but they don't understand that you then have to cut into the floor joists and rework the piping, and so if they don't have the knowledge and it's just fluff, then that's the same type of thing. So as far as designer, they really have to ask, what's your experience, and do you know how the heating or the electrical works? And if they don't, then that could really run up to some dollars.
Right. Did you have some pictures you wanted to show at this time? And I also wanted to, before I forget, if you have your website that you can, anybody may have questions, they want to send you an email or something, if you want to mention your website.
Yeah, it's www.simplybaths.net.
Okay. And Lynn?
www.buildingdesignsbylynn.com.
Okay.
Spell Lynn.
L-Y-N-N-E.
Okay, very good.
I have a before shot of a master bath we did.
Okay. You're going to put that up there, and then the guy's going to key in on there.
About 1/3 of the bathroom was tub deck. It was, believe it was early 80s, and it was getting a little outdated. And it's
And then you got
a project that
this is the finished project.
Yeah, we took second place in national competition for the
Wow.
finished product.
Yeah, big difference. And then Lynn, you had something there?
Yes, what I have is for kitchens, a lot of people seem to be doing away with upper cabinets, so a lot of them want more windows.
So that's with this concept of having like a table, a sophisticated.
Definitely.
What do you call that?
That's a center island where they combine it as a table for this particular kitchen. That is their table. So
Right.
there's larger eating islands just to try to gain and maximize space.
So it saves you a kitchen table, and it gives you more space because you don't have the upper cabinets where you could strain your back.
Correct. Right.
So.
And
okay.
then as far as other kitchen ideas that people like, they like to have it where it's open, your kitchen is open to a nice...
Let's hold it up and linger because he's got to get that.
The kitchen is open to a nice family room, so while you're standing in the kitchen, you'd be looking at a half wall with columns looking into the kitchen, and into the family room, so...
So I don't get it. Is this, they walk around with their food in their hands, or...
No.
I'm sorry, I'm joking.
No, it's just basically that it's open to the
That's
kitchen.
Open spaces.
Open space, okay.
Right.
So that's a place to drink your coffee as you're contemplating the day or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So again, to do away with the upper cabinets, a lot of people have been doing wet bars and pantries to again maximize the space. They would do this in a nook going to the dining area or to the living area. So there's just different aspects of ways to try to gain space without having a lot of storage space in your kitchen itself.
An aspect of both kitchen and bathroom modeling that becomes a necessity is aging in place considerations, making bathrooms and kitchens accessible for the elderly and handicapped is a type of work that we're often called on to do.
Okay, so you do a lot of that, and do people call in for themselves, or do you sometimes do you have the children calling in? Now we want to do some work, so it's easier for mom and dad to get around.
Sometimes the children call because they want to make sure that their parents are taken care of in the proper fashion, but also a lot of times people have their parents coming to live with them at some point and need to make modifications to their own homes to accommodate.
To have like an in-law apartment.
Whether it's an in-law apartment in the basement or on the first floor.
Right.
The concept is actually called universal design, where people could either grow old in their homes and everything will accommodate their needs, or like Barry said, that just modify it. So for some new construction, you'll find that a lot of the master bedrooms are on the ground floor, and then the bathrooms have wheel-in showers, so everything is set up that way.
Oh, so all that's on the ground floor. What's upstairs?
The kids' bedrooms.
Oh, okay.
That's definitely what's been designed a lot lately, as opposed to having the master on the upper floor. So this way people could grow old in their own homes and have to worry about moving.
We don't have to worry about redesigning either, you know, because it's already turned around for later on. Do you find that at any particular age? You don't have like a 25-year-old design a house like that, or is that even for a 25-year-old that might
yeah, there's
buy a house?
young couples that will buy a house. The idea is that the housing market is so crazy and land is so sparse, so people are definitely nesting a lot more, and they're not thinking of just resale only. They're thinking of long-term and what they could do to really try to save money and build a future, rather than just thinking that we're going to resell and move at a later date.
So we went back to the 50s, because that's what they used to do. Ozzy inherited, they used to live in their same house for 35 years or whatever, right? You know, as opposed to the bustling and moving around every 5 years.
I mean, even elevators have been putting in a lot of elevators into new homes as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they really downsized where it's simple enough to put in without having to do a pit. How it used to be, it could just be a hydraulic lift, so it's a lot less expensive and a lot smaller too for residential needs.
Well, I guess if you're selling enough units, you can do that. So the price must have come, because I think elevators used to be like $20,000 or something, right?
No, they've gone down.
What's an elevator in a home?
It's
just throw a number.
It's usually about 10,000. I mean, it's still expensive, but it's.
But it's easier to do if you feel that you're going to be there all your life, and you know.
And it's certainly more attractive than the stair lifts and other means to get you there.
Right, that's true. Okay, we've done the pictures. We did the website. I'm trying to think of. The idea of fraud. We talked about that another time, and the other thing was dealing with towns on getting approvals on work. We also talked about that at another point in time. Do we want to talk about maybe that's probably a subject out there that there's many people that are aware of, was dealing with the in our last 5 minutes, dealing with the area towns and getting approvals.
Well, there's different ways to go about remodeling kitchen and bathrooms.
Right.
You could either just work with what's existing and keeping the plumbing and electrical and everything in the same location, and you're just giving it an update. You're just replacing the finishes or the flooring. That concept, you tend not to necessarily need to get a permit, but if you're going to be cutting and replacing, relocating and doing electrical work, then it's best to do.
What you're saying, in most area towns, if you're replacing a toilet, you don't have to, because all you're doing is putting
all the piping.
it's everything else stays the same. You just the top or whatever.
And every town does look at certain things differently. So just because we've been working in these immediate areas for a long time, we do know what towns are looking for what.
And some towns are more difficult than others to pull even a basic permit.
Right.
Yes.
So, okay. So you don't really want to go on record as to where it's more difficult, but you're going to have that. You really should check with the town before you start on any venture.
That's the safest thing to do.
And a reputable guy or a designer would do the checking for you, but it's got to be a check on everybody's checklist to make sure that, all right, you're going to do this type of work in this town, whatever that town may be. Are they going to require coming in and a permit, to go through the process? And that also varies as to how long that takes, whether it's 30 days or longer, right? I would imagine. Barry?
Recently, we pulled one in a local town in 12 hours, which I was astounded. I don't know if that's a case of
Things are slow.
Things are slow, or
Yeah, they used to take a month on those things.
so I generally tell people figure 3 to 4 weeks to get it all the way through.
Yeah. I had some experience this past year, and it took 3 weeks on a driveway project. So, so I can
And
imagine.
also going back, if it's a reputable contractor, as far as my drawings go, if it's somebody that may not be known to the town or have that much experience, then I know that I have to have a lot of information on my drawings. But if it's somebody who the town knows and is comfortable with, then I don't necessarily have to specify so much. So again, you know, going back with reputable people, it does save you money if everybody knows what level that they could handle.
And it's interesting, if you go into Danbury Town Hall, the building department, they have photos on the wall showing all the shoddy work that they've gone out to inspect, and it's
Right, overtime.
it's amazing some of the things you see.
Right. Is there like a checklist that you should have if you're, let's say, entertaining, whether it's a kitchen or a bathroom or whatever?
How much
Entertaining
entertaining do you do in your bathroom?
No, entertaining doing the work. You know what I mean. I know what you're saying. That you should do this, and this. You know, to avoid a shoddy contractor, you should check, make sure that they have insurance and get a certificate. Something like that. Is there some kind of checklist?
Well, you'll know when you meet with the contractor, because the contractor will also. It's also a matter of how much information. For instance, when I do the drawings and then Barry will do a bid, when it goes into contract, he'll give a timetable of what time certain things should be selected. So you would know, basically, you know, if it's a contractor that's not experienced and they know that this is when the time could really dictate, put a person out of inconvenience from the project. So you'll know what kind of information and what kind of paperwork that they'll give you already right off the bat.
We've got probably a half a minute left, so one more time for people that have questions out there, your website.
www.simplybaths.net.
And Lynn?
www.buildingdesignsbylynn, and that's L-Y-N-N-E.
Okay. All right, well, I want to...
.com.
I want to thank you for coming on the show. And I want to thank the viewers for tuning in the Community Forum. Tune in next week, same time, same station, and we'll have another interesting program. Good night for now, and we'll see you then.